Scene 1. The Quiet Town and Mandy Rose Reynolds. Sometimes stories of tragedy unfold in the most unexpected places, small towns where everyone knows each other, where life is simple and predictable. But in April of 2023, the town of Robinson, Texas, became the center of a chilling mystery that shook the entire community. This is Mandy Rose Reynolds, a 26-year-old woman whose life was tragically cut short. She was known for her kindness, her love for animals, and most importantly, her deep bond with her dog, Titan. Mandy was a beloved member of her community. She had a passion for animals, an adventurous spirit, and a heart that radiated warmth. But that warmth was cruelly extinguished in an unimaginable crime. Scene 2. The discovery of a tragedy. On the night of April 5th, 2023, first responders were called to a brush fire in a remote field. What they discovered when they arrived was horrifying. Amidst the charred ground, they found human remains burned beyond recognition. But what stood out most was a dog, a white dog, pacing frantically near the scene. He barked at officers, refusing to leave as if trying to protect something.
What's up, puppy?
Nearby, a white Labradoodle barks frantically, refusing to leave the scene.
Come here.
Even after the body had been removed, Titan remained at the location, unwilling to leave. A concerned citizen spotted him and notified animal control. When officers arrived, they scanned his microchip and discovered his name, Titan, and his owner, Mandy Rose Reynolds. This crucial discovery led police to suspect that the remains found at the scene belonged to Mandy. Scene 3. The investigation begins. When police identified the victim as Mandy Rose Reynolds, they traced her last known residence to San Marcos, Texas. Working in coordination with officers in Robinson, San Marcos police visited her home, only to find it eerily empty. Every trace of her belongings was gone, and her car had vanished. The unsettling scene raised immediate concerns. This was no ordinary case. Someone had gone to great lengths to cover up what had happened, leaving behind no immediate signs of struggle or forced entry. It was as if Mandy had simply been erased from her own life. Neighbors reported that they hadn't seen Mandy in days. Friends and family, growing increasingly desperate, had repeatedly tried to contact her, but their calls and messages went unanswered. The silence was alarming, fueling fears that something truly horrific had taken place. Investigators knew they weren't just dealing with a disappearance. This was something far more sinister. A breakthrough came when detectives ran her vehicle's information through a license plate database. The results were shocking. Mandy's black Honda Accord had been spotted hundreds of miles away in Wichita, Kansas. The discovery added a new layer of mystery. Authorities in Kansas were immediately alerted and instructed to locate the vehicle. The fact that it had turned up so far from the crime scene suggested an attempt to distance the evidence, but it also raised another question. Was Mandy's killer inside that car? As officers in Kansas intensified their search, detectives in Texas worked around the clock, piecing together Mandy's last known movements. Surveillance footage, financial records, and phone activity were all scrutinized in an attempt to understand how she had ended up as the victim of such a brutal crime. With each discovery, one thing became increasingly clear. Whoever had done this hadn't acted impulsively. This was calculated, deliberate, and meant to delay the truth from coming to light. But with the sudden lead on her missing car, investigators were one step closer to tracking down the person responsible. Scene 4. Chilling evidence, the high-speed chase, and arrest. Before long, Wichita police located the black Honda Accord. But when officers attempted to pull the vehicle over, the driver refused to comply. instantly escalating the situation into a high-speed chase. The suspect sped through city streets, weaving recklessly through traffic at speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour. With officers in pursuit, the chase lasted 30 minutes, stretching across multiple streets and highways. The suspect showed no intention of surrendering, endangering numerous lives as he ran red lights and barely avoided collisions. The pursuit came to a sudden and dramatic end when the Honda collided with another vehicle. Realizing he was cornered, the driver bolted from the wreckage and sprinted toward a nearby grocery store. Inside, he frantically searched for a place to hide, eventually scrambling onto a store shelf and wedging himself behind rows of canned goods. It was a last-ditch effort to evade capture, but his freedom was short-lived. Within moments, officers stormed the store, quickly spotting the suspect's hiding place. He was surrounded. There was nowhere left to run. The man was pulled from the shelf and placed under arrest. When officers identified him, the truth became even more chilling. He was Daigneault, 29, Mandy's cousin. With Daigneault in custody, officers began a thorough search of Mandy's vehicle. Inside, they discovered a .380 handgun on the floorboard of the driver's seat. This find sent shockwaves through the investigation. Back at the crime scene in Robinson, forensic teams had recovered a .380 shell casing near Mandy's burned remains. The pieces were coming together. Determined to uncover the full truth, San Marcos police retrieved surveillance footage from a nearby Walmart. What they found was damning. On April 4th, 2023, one day before Mandy's body was discovered, Daigneault was caught on camera purchasing a large plastic storage container, a shovel, and a gas can. Moments later, he was seen leaving the store, driving Mandy's Honda Accord. Sitting beside him in the passenger seat was Titan, Mandy's faithful dog, his head poking out of the car window. Further searches led investigators to an abandoned truck several miles from Mandy's home. Inside, they found her missing belongings, confirming that Daigneault had systematically removed all traces of her presence. Meanwhile, the medical examiner completed the autopsy, confirming Mandy had died from a gunshot wound to the head. Ballistic testing conducted by the Texas Department of Public Safety Crime Laboratory provided irrefutable proof. The bullet recovered from Mandy's body matched the shell casing found in the burned container. Both had been fired from the .380 handgun recovered from Daigneault's possession in Wichita. Mandy had been shot and killed before her body was placed inside the storage container. Daigneault then set the container on fire in an attempt to destroy the evidence. He fled the scene in her stolen car, traveling hundreds of miles to Kansas. But the killer's plan had failed. Despite efforts to cover up the crime, the evidence left behind was undeniable. And through it all, Titan remained. Even after Mandy was gone, he refused to leave the scene, pacing anxiously as if guarding the place where she had last been. His loyalty never wavered. In the end, Titan wasn't just a faithful companion. He was the silent witness who refused to walk away. And in doing so, he became the key to uncovering the truth. With Daigneault in custody, authorities now turn to the next critical questions. What was his motive? Did he act alone? And what had truly led to Mandy's tragic death? The pursuit of justice for Mandy Rose Reynolds was far from over. Scene 5. Justice and Sentencing. During the sentencing phase, prosecutors detailed Daigneault's long history of violent crime, including aggravated burglary, attempted robbery, aggravated assault, possession of methamphetamine, interference with law enforcement, criminal discharge of a firearm at a residence, fleeing officers, aggravated battery, and illegal possession of a weapon. His criminal record, which stretched back to his teenage years, made it clear that this was not an isolated act of violence. For the high-speed chase in Wichita that led to his arrest, Daigneault received a sentence of just over 9 years. However, the most damning evidence came in Mandy's murder trial, where prosecutors proved he was in possession of her car, her grandmother's firearm, the confirmed murder weapon, her phone, and Titan, the dog who had remained by her side even after her death. In November 2024, after a brief 35-minute deliberation, a jury in Waco's 19th State District Court found Daigneault guilty of Mandy's murder. The prosecution argued that the brutality of his actions warranted a life sentence. The jury agreed. He was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 30 years before parole eligibility. Yet, despite the overwhelming evidence against him, one question remained unanswered: the motive. Why Daigneault killed his cousin remains a mystery, as he never revealed an actual reason for the brutal crime. Mandy's fate was tragic, but Titan's steadfast devotion proved that she was never alone. His loyalty helped bring justice, making sure that what happened to her would never be forgotten. What do you think about this case? Was justice truly served? How could things have unfolded differently? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that uncover the truth. Until next time, stay safe.